Good evening and welcome everyone to the ABC of Hauntings. Sorry we're a few minutes late. We had a technical difficulty.
No, she had a technical
Yeah, it was my fault this time. I pushed something back and all of a sudden it said, you have no camera. No matter what we did, there was no camera.
Well, the topic is about the demonic. So there you go. What else can we say?
And tonight, I am allowing Miss Renata to take over the whole show. I'm just going to add little bits and pieces because Auntie Anne's a little bit tired from the drive back. And I'm using that as the excuse to have not done my homework.
Oh, poor little Auntie Anne.
I know, I've still got my Band-Aid on from my blood test.
Oh, it's just sad, isn't it?
I know.
Everyone weep. Just weep for a moment. She's so tired.
I need love. I need love hearts. Send me love hearts. Hi, look, everyone's coming on saying hi. Yes, so tonight is our education night where we try to teach people things. Yes. We don't actually have our readings tonight. That is dedicated to Thursday night.
Did you download my pictures?
I do have your pictures.
Oh, good. That's all right.
I just have to go over to here.
That's okay.
And then I have to go to here.
That's okay.
And then we can put the first one up.
No, not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Okay.
Let's just go back.
Whenever you're ready. I'm ready for you.
Let's just wait for all the lovely people to come on who want to hear about exorcisms tonight.
Real life exorcisms. Now, we should put a warning on this show tonight. Some of the content may be disturbing, so if you've got weak stomachs or little children, look away now.
It's disturbed me. I'm very, very disturbed by the whole thing because it's such a sad topic. It is really sad, and it's sad what things have been done to people in the name of religion for so many years when it comes to exorcism. And I've been thinking about it all afternoon, actually, until Anne gave me some tiramisu, and now I feel really better.
Yeah. And I have to say, it is keto tiramisu. Giving a shout out to Paulina Fresh and their amazing food. Absolutely amazing.
So yes, we have a large topic of discussion. You are welcome to chime in at any time and give your views on what you think about all of this. It will neither change anything here nor there nor in the future, because this information is really basic information about...
Yeah, Brooke, not for the kids, definitely not.
about exorcism, and I'm not going to throw in my ideas about it, nor Anne. So we're going off topic that has been on the internet, and when I talk about exorcisms themselves, this is information from the Catholic Church itself, and then we're going to be talking about the exorcism of Annalise.
Emily Rose, the movie, isn't it?
Emily Rose.
Yeah, it's sort of... excuse me.
Real life exorcism of Annalise Michael.
All right, so Renata, where are we going to head first?
Okay, well, let me turn on with my magic finger the recording button.
She does have a very magic finger, so I'm told.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's episode of the ABC of Hauntings, and we are up to the letter E, and so we decided that tonight we are going to talk about exorcisms.
Hang on. Move across. Real life. All I can see is your boob. Get your boob out of the road. Realise the exorcisms. There we go. Come back in now.
Okay.
I went to a lot of trouble to make that screen.
It's beautiful and beautiful. So, what is an exorcism? Maybe some of you guys would like to tell us, first of all, what you think an exorcism truly is. So let us know what you think an exorcism is. Tiffany, we are not doing readings tonight, my darling. Please come back on Thursday night. There always has to be one.
This is our education night.
Well, Maxine has seen 2 movies about it, so she must know everything that there is to do with exorcisms. Really good.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah, removal of evil spirits from the human body.
Sorry.
Yeah, about right. So,
I'm very subdued tonight. I'm saying I'm a little bit tired. It's been a big weekend. Where did we go this weekend, Renata?
Oh, we went to Rosalie Manor out near Whoop Whoop or
No,
Wagga.
Wagga Wagga, not
Wagga.
Whoopie Whoopie.
Out near Wagga.
And we did Abby's tour and it was great. We had the best night. Then we got to sleep in the haunted stables.
Yes.
And none of us were going to have a shower. We just decided to be stinky for the whole weekend because there's no way we were taking our clothes off to go and have a shower in those showers because it was freezing. And a bit spooky.
When we say it was freezing, it was freaking freezing. And not only was it cold, it was wet and it was windy. So it was like the wind actually went through your skin and into your bones. It was awful. But we were all there, and
Emma.
it didn't stop anyone from having a good time. So that was great. So thank you, Appy. Big shout out to Appy and to Pete and to the marvellous team that was there and led us through all the experiments at Rosalie Manor.
Removal of apparent evil spirits from a person generally performed by a priest.
Thank you, Maya.
Yes, supposedly they were having heart attacks in the theatre. You are right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if they would have had a heart attack if it was a Bambi movie. I think that's probably just their time to have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one who forgot to turn their phone off tonight.
Damn it.
Maxine said it's about getting a priest to pray and redeem the demon.
Oh, okay.
Exorcism
Is how uneducated religious idiots deal with mental health issues. Thank you, Susie. Quite enlightening. Love you, girl.
I wonder who's taught her.
Come to my lessons.
Hi, Jasp. How are you? Oh, yay! Your cat came back. I remember. Oh, that's so wonderful.
They must have stopped feeding it, so they came back. But never mind. Okay, we digress.
Yes,
Great
anyway.
answers.
Yes,
Great
thank you,
answers.
everyone.
So the Catholic Church authorises the use...
Sorry.
I said that word, not you. All right. The Catholic Church authorises the use of exorcism for those who are believed to be the victims of demonic possession. Yep. According to the Vatican guidelines issued in 1999, because that's when it got changed, because while Pope John, or the last one, John Paul, the Polish one, was in, he kind of said, no, we're only going to do exorcisms if it is really and truly required and it goes through all of the criteria and yes, this person requires an exorcism. And then he carked it, right? And so all the bishops got together and said, we need to do more exorcisms because the demon is running rampant through the community. So
we
in
need to make sure
1999,
everyone's terrified.
they changed the rules and they went, yeah, let's do a lot more. Hello, Amanda. And so now, yes, there are a lot more exorcisms being done.
So tonight is not our reading night, Jasper. It's our education night. Thursday nights is our reading night.
So according to the Vatican guidelines issued in 1999, the person who claims to be possessed must be evaluated by doctors to rule out a mental or physical illness. Now remember that. It's part of the criteria. But most reported cases do not require an exorcism because 20th century Catholic officials regard genuine demonic possession as an extremely rare phenomenon that is easily confounded with natural mental disturbances. As the demand for exorcisms has increased over the past few decades, the number of trained exorcists have also increased. They have workshops in the Vatican where you can go and get
You can do a weekend
education.
You can get a piece of paper.
I think it's more than a weekend course.
So go do your weekend course and become an exorcist.
Is there one on Centre for Excellence?
No, there isn't. But I did one with Dr. Kieran O'Keefe. But he was.
So have I.
Yeah, that was more of explaining the logical explanations for
Yes.
what might be going on. And as far as he's concerned, there may be one true case of possession, and even then, he's not real sure.
So, in previous times, an exorcist was
Just flush down the toilet, cat. It's fine.
was actually someone who kept that part of their workings quite secret, and the whole exorcism rite was very secretive. But because there are so many exorcists in demand right now, you can find them in the phone book. Well, if you've got a phone book, you can find them on Google, right? And they have their criteria and their experience. They have Facebook pages and web pages, so you can find them.
I'm sure you can find one on LinkedIn. Hot.
Must be
The demon's flames coming up.
Yeah, oh God, I've only got through the first half of the first page. Okay. Many times a person just needs spiritual or medical help, especially if drugs or addictions are present. The specially trained priest and medical professional will be able to work together to address the patient and be able to determine the type of illness the patient is suffering from. After the need of the person has been determined, then the appropriate help will be met. In the circumstance of spiritual help, prayers may be offered.
And prayers from any denomination are a good thing. It doesn't matter who you believe in. A prayer is a positive thing.
That's an awfully horrific picture, that one.
Anyway. I can change it.
No, that's all right. Keep it there. Scare the muggles. It could be the laying on of hands or a counselling session. The exorcist might not even perform an exorcism if he does not know the person. According to the Freedom of Christ document, demonic influence can vary from mild to extreme. Mild influence includes ordinary activity, the temptations that afflict all people. So we all might be slightly possessed. Then there is extraordinary activity, including diabolical oppression and diabolical obsession that has symptoms including sudden attacks of obsessive thoughts, sometimes even rationally absurd, in which the afflicted person is unable to free themselves. And in the 1800s, that probably would have included women reading books. How dare they?
Yeah, absolutely. That's big no-no.
Oh, awful. In this state, the spirit almost always influences dreams.
Yes, Maxine, the Emily Rose movie was based on true facts, but we've got information on that coming up.
Yeah, very loosely.
Very loosely.
Very loosely. As with other forms of demonic phenomena, it can be at times diagnosed as evidence of mental illness, the church document says. Psychological consultation is an important element in diagnosis and treatment. So remember, people, before you rush off and exorcise anyone...
Yeah, don't exercise.
It's very bad. Where's your shirt?
I should have had that one on.
You can go and change at halftime.
I can go now. I'm not doing anything.
It is... The requirement is that you have a medical assessment done and a psychological assessment done.
It's all right, Kat, you're in good company. We are too.
It must be understood, however, that the demonic and the natural can exist side by side as well as standing on their own. At the extreme end of the demonic influence scale are diabolical infestations, including influences over houses, haunted houses, and influences over things and animals. Did you know that animals can get possessed?
I've seen cats get possessed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't think about that. No. Okay.
That doesn't sit right with me, but you know.
Okay. No, this is from the church document.
We've had an angry face already. You'll be pleased to know.
Oh, good.
From Kerry. Kerry's not happy with us.
Okay, Kerry.
Blessed be Kerry.
That's all right. I'm just giving you information that the church has put out. This is from church documents. We're not making any of this up. Including for things and animals. In the most extreme cases, demonic possession is such that an evil spirit takes possession of the body, not the soul, and can speak and act without the knowledge or consent of the afflicted person. That is interesting. So they take possession of the body only and not the soul. Right. According to the rite of exorcism, some signs of possession include speaking or understanding a language otherwise unknown to the afflicted person, extraordinary strength and the ability to reveal the unknown.
True, right.
The document Freedom of Christ states. There is no fixed model of demonic possession. Each case is unique. Now,
so, Sean, yeah, the stories of spirits and ghosts and animals, yeah, but I think they're talking about demonic possession.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and I agree. I reckon cats are possessed.
So there was I'm not sure if he's still serving or not because this part of the article is a few years old. There is a Brisbane Archdiocese where there is one exorcist priest.
Oh, there was a story in the newspaper
Yes,
about him. I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
who went over to the Vatican to train. And his identity remains confidential, and he doesn't work in isolation. He works with a team. But
Yes.
I'm sure I saw a photo of him, so I'm not sure whether he's actually completely.
Margaret, I've been in the
Confidential?
actual pet cemetery that Stephen King wrote about. But yeah, no demons.
So this particular priest has not attended training in the Vatican, but instead is completing studies at the Pope Leo the 13th Institute in the United States, a private non-profit organisation set up to educate and train priests in the ministry of exorcism and deliverance. So this is substantial stuff, guys. The guidelines stress a caring approach that begins with the traditional channels of God's healing and grace. The Archdiocese has guidelines within a pastoral framework for responding to requests for exorcism. As such, all complainants will be encouraged to regularly attend Mass and receive Holy Communion, seek out a regular confessor for the sacrament of penance, spend time in adoration before the Blessed Sacrament, and develop a strong devotional life of prayer and meditation on the scriptures, the guidelines say. Because it is important to understand, and this is something, and I might read this, I'm pretty sure I've got it written down, but this raises the thing about the fact that having the exorcism doesn't stop the process there. The person is required to continue a lifetime of devotion so that any entities or energies do not come back and repossess them.
Just before you go on, I just want to also make a quick note that if you get a private message from someone offering readings or information, it is not us. There are scammers that have been coming on during the show and sending private messages. We got rid of them off the live feed, but they have been sending private messages. So please be aware, it is not us. Do not hand out your private information to anyone. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
I just thought of it.
So the guidelines point out that exorcism is a journey which does not end with the rite of exorcism. It continues through a life lived in faithfulness to Christ and his church. Exorcism is an act of the church, not an individual, they say.
All right, Sandy's got 27 cats and kittens there at the moment, so she's hoping they're not possessed.
So finally, it is essential to note that whilst it is helpful to understand something of this area of the Catholic tradition, an unhealthy curiosity and fascination with the demonic can prove dangerous.
You reckon?
So anyone doing this sort of work in the paranormal should actually take time to look through the relevant information associated with exorcisms, because undoubtedly you will be asked a question at some point in time about whether someone is possessed.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a belief.
It is belief.
I like what Matt has said here. I believe possession is a construct of the church and part of that collective thought form.
Mm-hmm. But in saying that, it now exists as an energy form and we have to deal with it. So we have to look at a way of getting around what happens to people. And if their belief is quite strong, as you'll hear in the case of Annalise, then something needs to be known. Education needs to happen. And that education needs to be beyond the Catholic Church and those that are dealing with it from that standpoint. If we are walking out into situations where we are handling spiritual entities, ghosts, the paranormal, we need to have the knowledge that will protect us and other people as well. So there are several types of exorcism in the Roman Catholic Church, and I will get to the story of Annalise, but this is really important stuff that is the groundwork in all of this. So you do really need to know about this information. I know which phone it is. It's this one.
Ah.
Because
Yeah, Connor's sending us a message. Connor, we're working. We're working, mate.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Distracted.
So,
Distracted.
there is the baptismal exorcism, the blessing of an infant prior to baptism to cleanse it of evil resulting from original sin. There is a simple exorcism.
So the original sin is that of Adam and Eve.
That's correct.
So
and we are all born with original sin.
We're all born with... Now, don't we talk about carrying the sins of your fathers and your... what do you call it? The ancestors?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. And so, again, that's why it is so important for those of the Catholic faith to have a baptism done. So there is a simple exorcism, a blessing of a place or a thing to rid it of evil influence.
Amanda, do you want to put the link up for your book while we're on here?
Yes, please.
Amanda has written a wonderful book from the perspective of a psychic medium. I can't wait. I can't. I want to order the hardcover or the actual hands-on book. I'm not real good at reading them on Kindles and things. So pop your book up, Amanda.
So, thank you, Anne. We've had baptismal exorcisms, we've had simple exorcisms, and now we have real exorcisms, performing the rite of exorcism to rid a human being of diabolical possession. So a real exorcism is what most of us think of when we think of exorcism. In this case, the priest or exorcist is priest/exorcist is dealing with a human being who is possessed by the devil. The devil is inhabiting the person's body.
Now, we were talking about that before. They can inhabit the body, but not
The soul.
The soul.
Not
So
the
does that
soul.
mean the essence of the person is packed away in a little corner somewhere where they can't get out?
Maybe it's because the soul is thought of in a different respect to the body. The body is the vessel.
So to me, the soul is the life force.
Yeah,
That's another whole topic,
yes,
isn't it?
yes. Let's not go there. Signs of demonic invasion vary depending on the type of demon and its purpose, including loss or lack of appetite,
Yeah, sadly not me.
cutting, scratching, and biting of skin, a cold feeling in the room, unnatural bodily postures and change in the person's face and body, the possessed losing control of their normal personality and entering into a frenzy or rage and or attacking others, change in the person's voice, supernatural physical strength not subject to the person's build or age, speaking in tongues, prediction of future events, sometimes through dreams. There go the witches.
Yep.
Levitation, levitation and moving of objects and things.
But there was a priest that could fly. We covered that.
Yeah, that was a special. Let's not talk
Okay,
about.
no,
Let's
no,
not
no,
talk
we'll
about
talk.
the little ones that get in there
All right.
under the radar. Expelling of objects and things. Now, what does that remind you of? Expelling of objects and things.
Poltergeist.
No. What happens in physical mediumship?
Ooh, apports.
Wow.
Spitting up gems and coming out your eyes. And... Oh.
Intense hatred, aversion, and violent reaction towards all religious items and objects.
Yeah, we're screwed.
And antipathy towards entering a church, speaking Jesus' name, or hearing scripture.
Well, Sandy's been told she is the devil on and off the whole life. Lorna Gay said it's her daughters every morning.
Now, this isn't just in the Catholic Church.
No.
Many cultures have this one sort of demonic entity that is sort of the negative to the positive when it comes to religious belief. And all religions deal with fighting these demonic forces. So let's look at three old ones.
Danielle said, does possession seem to happen more so within the Catholics?
No.
It really does seem to be, as Matt said, it always seems to be people who are highly religious. Well, they have to believe in the angels and the demons or heaven and hell or their version of it to believe in possession.
It will affect the mindset and how these things occur. But there is actually a mental illness where someone becomes very religious. It's part of a particular mental illness. I did read about it this afternoon. I have forgotten what that mental illness is called, but I do.
Can anyone
I
remember
do
what that
know
one is?
that this particular one can actually make you extremely religious. But let's look at 3 different types of religions. So there's Judaism, or Judaism, yes, whichever side of the fence. So Jewish folklore and Kabbalah teachings tell of a malevolent spirit called a Dybbuk.
Oh yeah, the Dybbuk, yep.
This spirit is the soul of a dead person that has come back to address unfinished business. So in this case, it is a soul. The spirit is the soul of a dead person that has come back to address unfinished business and inhabits the body of a living person in order to carry out its goals. The Dybbuk can be expelled through a rite of exorcism and leaves the body through the toe. Then we have Islam.
So if you keep your toe covered, that means that they can't get in?
No hope. Islam. Islamic belief tells of a jinn, an evil spirit and servant of Satan, that can invade the human body and cause illness, pain, torment and evil thoughts.
Apparently they're a bit harder to get rid of.
This jinn, and we're talking about very, very old entities when it comes to jinn, extremely old. This jinn can be expelled by the possessed person by reciting particular passages of the Quran. And Hinduism. In Hinduism, the Vedas scriptures tell of an evil spirit that can not only harm humans but can also stand in the way of the will of the gods. A traditional Hindu exorcism includes such rituals as burning pig excrement, reciting prayers and offering sweets to the gods.
So pig poo and sweets?
Yeah.
Fine.
All right.
Religious psychosis? Religiosity?
Okay, so let's start on this story about Anna Michael.
Oh, can I put my phone up now?
Anna Michael.
Oh,
Anna
your
Michael.
photo?
Yeah.
All right, I've got to remember how to do this. There she is.
There she is. It's a very well known.
Oh, she's got a mustache. Yeah, I can adjust that. I can adjust it. I'm learning how to use the green screen. So bear with me. There we are. Oh, that way. Oh, well, we'll lose us or lose her. Oh, now she got that too.
Good.
Oh, it's just because we don't have good light on us. Yeah. That's why.
Yeah. So there is beautiful Anna Michael, and I'm not sure whether I'm saying her surname properly, but we probably know her as Annalise. And her exorcism has been written about 1 million times. And so if you do want to find out some more information on her, then all you really need to do is Google. And the information that I have here is from a number of sources that I looked at today and kind of popped it all together to sort of get the flow of the story. So Anna Elizabeth Michael was born on the 21st of September 1952 in Bavaria, West Germany, to a Roman Catholic family. And Anna was brought up along with 3 sisters by her parents, Joseph and Anna. She was religious and went to Mass twice a week. Can I have some of my face back, please?
You possessed. Keep going. I'll fix it.
Okay, in 1968, when she was 16 and still in high school, Annalise began to suffer from convulsions. Now, this all went to a court hearing after her death because it really was an absolutely awful case and lots of horrible circumstances led to her death. And so, of course, it did go to court and people were charged with her... you can't say murder. What is it when it's not murder?
Homicide?
No, it's not homicide. The lesser degree of murder. It's not murder. Like
Manslaughter.
Manslaughter, that's it.
Okay.
Get your act together, girl. Just get
I
something
don't have
going
much to
today.
do
Okay,
today.
just keep in the flow.
Sorry, I'm dealing with comments coming in here and comments coming in there, and I'm like, sorry. Yeah.
So, court findings have her experience her first epileptic fit or epileptic attack in 1969. So, in June 1970, Anna suffered a third seizure at the psychiatric hospital where she was staying. So, the parents had taken her for treatment. This wasn't a one-off thing, and it didn't kind of happen overnight. This happened and continued to happen over a 5-year period before the priests were brought in. So the family did try a number of different methods to try and cure poor Anna, and she herself tried to get help for all of this as well. So she was prescribed anticonvulsion drugs for the first time, which did not alleviate the problem. It was then that a neurologist at the psychiatric clinic in Würzburg diagnosed her with grand mal epilepsy.
So she was diagnosed with epilepsy.
She was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Right.
By 1973, she suffered from depression and began hallucinating while praying, and complained about hearing voices telling her that she was damned and would rot in hell. And as treatment in a psychiatric hospital did not improve her health and her depression worsened. Long-term treatment did not help either, and she grew increasingly frustrated with the medical intervention that was taking place, and she had been taking a whole concoction of drugs for 5 years.
Yeah. And what time frame was this again? What era?
So 1970s.
So it's 1970s, and that was when they weren't really doing a lot of research into how other drugs affected other drugs.
Mm-hmm. But by 1975, she was convinced that she was possessed, and her parents gave up on the doctors from the psychiatric clinic. They chose to rely solely on the exorcisms for healing. Annalise's symptoms have since been compared to those with schizophrenia, and in that case, they may have responded to the proper treatment.
Right.
Yep. So who first diagnosed Annalise as being possessed? Now, we've got to remember what was happening. 5 years of psychiatric hospitals, treatment with doctors, nothing was going on.
And I do remember in this case as well, when I was working with Dr. Kieran, they were saying that she was at the age that you typically do get this mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So she decided to go on a pilgrimage. Remember that the family was really, really quite religious.
Yes.
And I'll get into that in a minute. So she went on a pilgrimage, and she went with a family friend who organised Christian pilgrimages. And this friend noticed that Annalise avoided walking past a particular image of Jesus. She refused to drink water from a holy spring, and the woman also claimed that Annalise smelled hellishly bad.
Oh, the poor darling.
An exorcist from a nearby town examined Annalise and concluded that she was demonically possessed. After 2 failed requests, the rite of exorcism was finally granted by the bishop. That's a small sentence, but it took quite some time before that rite of exorcism was granted. Mm-hmm. There had been a process. Now, there were 2 priests that were involved, and that was Father Arnold Renz and Pastor Ernst Alt, and they were assigned by the Bishop of Würzburg, Joseph Stangl, to carry out the great exorcism on Annalise Michael. The foundation for this ritual was the Rituale Romanum, which at the time was still a valid 17th century canon law. Father Arnold Renz had been a former missionary in China, and Pastor Ernst Alt was a pastor in a nearby community. Together, they carried out 67 rites of exorcism over 10 months.
67 in 10 months?
67 rites of exorcism over a period of 10 months, with 1 or 2 exorcism sessions held a week. Some sessions lasted for about 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you want to pop up the picture of the priests, just so that we know what these gentlemen looked like?
Okay.
So we will go to the next picture.
This one here?
That one, yep. So they're our 2 devout priests.
Hang on. Let's put my boobs up here.
Now, once again, guys, this didn't happen. This case is really well known, and this is a case where it didn't kind of just happen overnight.
Sit in the middle.
These guys didn't sort of say, "Oh, rose between two thorns." These guys didn't kind of turn up on the doorstep and say, "We will handle it." They really thought a long time about getting into this. It wasn't something that they did freely without the bishop standing in and saying, "I'm assigning you guys to this case." Yeah.
So did they agree that she was possessed?
In the end, yes. Apparently, everyone that had anything to do with the case, so the priests and the mother and father, really 100% agreed and believed that Annalise was possessed.
But that's their belief system. Anyway, keep going.
So, the demons that possessed Annalise. Annalise was convinced that she was possessed by several demons, including Lucifer, Judas Iscariot, Nero, Cain, Hitler, and Fleischmann, who was a disgraced Frankish priest from the 16th century. She also mentioned a few other damned souls who had manifested themselves through her. And they used to argue with each other. So, let me get through.
Just popping that up there, Sean. That's the biggest problem with exorcisms, coming from a student nurse right here. Doctors will put down exorcisms as a mental health, especially schizophrenia, since people say they hear voices and see things. Back in the 70s, mental health medication wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So, again, as Annalise grew older, all of these maladies that she had just grew more and more intense. And she used to pray for the souls of other people, and she used to pray for the soul of her mother as well. So Annalise and her three sisters were raised in a strict Catholic family. Her father, Joseph, had considered training as a priest, and three of her aunts were nuns. 4 years before Annalise was born, her mother gave birth to an illegitimate daughter, Martha. As a result, her mother suffered great shame and was forced to wear, listen to this, she was forced to wear a black veil on her wedding day.
What?
When Annalise was a child, her mother encouraged her to atone for the sins of illegitimacy through fervent devotion. So Annalise had to pay for that sin because her mother fell pregnant outside of wedlock.
So was Annalise the child of the out of wedlock?
No.
No, this is another one.
Yep.
Right.
So when Annalise's sister Martha died at the age of 8 during an operation to remove a kidney tumour, this likely only increased Annalise's desire to do penance for her mother. As she grew older, Annalise continued to suffer for the sins of others. When she was a teenager, Annalise slept on a bare stone floor to atone for the sins of wayward priests and drug addicts who could be observed sleeping on the hard ground at the local train station. In college at West Germany, Germany's University of Würzburg, she hung pictures of saints in her dorm room walls, kept holy water near the front door, and regularly prayed the rosary. So everyone thought she was nuts, literally. That would have left her extremely vulnerable. It would have left her at a sense where she had no friends.
Yeah, because she wasn't worthy of friends.
Yep.
It's awful.
So
this is all psychological brainwashing sort of stuff that was going on.
Let me see now. So Annalise sought out priests to help her with demonic possession, but all the clergy she approached rejected her request, saying that she should seek medical help and that they needed the permission of a bishop anyway. At this point, Annalise's delusions had become extreme. Believing she was possessed, she ripped the clothes off her body, compulsively performed up to 400 squats a day.
Now, have you got the information on that? Because that was something that we learnt about in Dr. Kieran O'Keefe's course. It's called pious pain, where they repetitively genuflect.
Yes.
And it's actually like a spasm. They can't help themselves. They'll drop to their knees.
Yep. And she did that, and I'll get to that at the end.
Oh, sorry.
Just a little bit further. She had actually broken both knees, and she still was doing it. There's a picture of her with her mother.
It's a tick. It's like
her,
a tick.
her mother actually helped her. There was a huge pillow on the ground, and she couldn't stop herself. So she would continue to genuflect 400 times a day, even though both legs were gone. Ligaments were shot. Everything was gone. So, yes, compulsively performed up to 400 squats a day, crawled under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days. She also ate spiders and coal, and bit the head off a dead bird and licked her own urine from the floor. Finally, she and her mother found Ernst all too believed in her possession. He stated that she didn't look like an epileptic in later court documents.
What does an epileptic look like?
Yeah. Annalise wrote to Alt, "I am nothing. Everything about me is vanity. What should I do? I have to improve. You pray for me," and once told him, "I want to suffer for other people, but this is so cruel." Alt petitioned the local bishop, Bishop Joseph Stengel, who eventually approved the request and granted a local priest, Arnold Rentz, permission to perform an exorcism, but ordered that it be carried out in total secret.
There's only a Hollywood movie about it. That's still secret.
Yeah. So the exorcisms did take a significant toll on Annalise's body. Do you want to put up that picture of Annalise?
The later one?
Yeah, the later one. Now, just be aware, guys, this is really,
A
really
little bit
awful.
yucky.
Very awful.
So there's that one,
Yeah,
and there's that one.
yeah. We'll just leave that one up for a while.
The other one's a little bit.
So Annalise endured 67 rites of exorcism. Did I say 67 before? Yes. Okay, so that's been noted over a period of 10 months. Over time, the ligaments in her knees ruptured due to the 600 genuflections that she performed obsessively during each exorcism session. A genuflection is an act of reverence consisting of falling onto one or both knees, called a double genuflection. On June the 30th, 1976, during her last rite of exorcism before her death, too weak and emaciated to perform the genuflections on her own, Annalise's parents stood and helped carry her through the motions.
Oh.
Now, was there a doctor present during the exorcisms? If you go back to the movie, you will see that there is one. There wasn't one for Annalise.
They're supposed to have one.
No, there wasn't one for her. So around Easter time of the year that she died, Annalise began to refuse food and drink. Her convulsions returned with a greater ferocity. No doctors were called. During the trial, specialists claimed that if the four accused, Father Arnold Rentz, Pastor Ernst Alt, and the parents would have begun to force-feed Annalise a week before her death, she would still be alive. One of Annalise's sisters explained to the court during the 1978 trial that Annalise did not want to go to a mental hospital where she would be drugged and forced to eat.
But if she was that sick in the mind, she needed someone else to make decisions for her at that stage.
And this will also happen with people who have severe eating disorders. They get to such a low weight that they don't want to eat, they don't want to be drugged, and they are in no mental state to make a decision about that. She got down to 68 pounds.
Oh, Lord.
Which
about
is
30 kilos or something.
About 31 kilos. That's how low she got. So she was completely emaciated. And she forced herself to fast because she believed that would get rid of Satan's influence.
So Maxine said there that she also spoke with the demon voice. In the movie she did.
Yeah, look, there is a recording of her growling or with a low voice, but can imagine the vocal cords by this time being shattered with the screaming that would go on with the exorcisms. So her vocal cords would be quite worn, and so she would actually probably
be damaged with nodules and things starting to form on them, and would not come together, because I used to be a singing teacher, they don't come together and vibrate properly, and you get air escaping through it. You get that sort of sound happening.
Yeah. So we can interpret it and go, oh yes, Satan is talking. It was most probably this poor,
Or it could be a
poor
delusion.
girl.
One of her delusions.
Yeah, could have been. So,
and this, for the record, Dr. O'Keefe said this was not a case of possession, it was a case of neglect.
Mm-hmm. Over the next 10 months following the bishop's approval of Annalise's exorcism, Alton Rents, the two priests, conducted 67 lasting up to 4 hours on the young girl. Through these sessions, Annalise revealed that she believed that she was possessed by 6 demons: Lucifer, Cain, Judas Iscariot, Adolf Hitler, Nero and Fleischmann. All these spirits would jostle for power of Annalise's body and would communicate from her mouth with a low growl. The demons argued with each other, with Hitler saying people are as stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death. It goes on. And Judas saying Hitler was nothing but a big mouth and had no real say in hell. Would you like to put up the pictures of the parents?
Oh, didn't get pictures of the parents.
I didn't send them to you.
No.
Oh, that's sad. Sorry.
We got that one.
I did have pictures of the parents. I mustn't have sent it to you. They're online. You can look it up. Throughout these sessions, Annalise would frequently talk about dying to atone for the wayward youth of the day and the apostate priests of the modern church. She broke the bones and ripped the tendons in her knees from continually kneeling in prayer. Over 10 months, Annalise was frequently restrained so the priests could conduct exorcism rites. She slowly stopped eating and she eventually died of malnutrition and dehydration on July the 1st, 1976. She was 23 years old. After her death, Annalise's story became a national sensation in Germany after her parents and the two priests who conducted the exorcism were charged with negligent homicide. They came before the court and even used a recording of the exorcism to try and justify their actions. The two priests were found guilty of manslaughter resulting from negligence and were sentenced to 6 months in jail, which was later suspended, and 3 years of probation. The parents were exempted from any punishment as they had suffered enough.
Oh.
A criteria for sentencing in German law. Now, we have to remember that these 4 people honestly and truly believed that Annalise was possessed. Yeah. So what we see is Annalise's gravesite in Klingenberg Cemetery, Germany. According to the autopsy on July the 1st, 1976, Annalise Magickal succumbed to the effects of severe dehydration and malnutrition. At the time of her death, she was also suffering from pneumonia and a high fever. She was buried next to her illegitimate sister Martha at the outer edges of the cemetery. This area is normally reserved for illegitimate children and suicides. So this punishment went on beyond her death.
That's awful.
The only good thing about that I can say, if there is a good thing, is that she lay in peace with the illegitimate daughter, who was also excommunicated from the family.
Because of the sins of the mother.
Because of the sins of the mother. And you can imagine now how the mother would have been distraught for the rest of her life, taking back those sins that she would now be paying for.
Yeah. Lisa, in the research I'd done on this when I was doing the course, no, I do not believe she was possessed. Not at all.
No. This was awful, awful mental illness.
And neglect.
So, weak and on the verge of death, she spoke her last words on the day before she died. She told the exorcists, beg for absolution. And then to her mother, Anna, she said, Mother, I'm afraid. After the trial, the parents asked the authorities for permission to exhume the remains of their daughter. The official reason presented by the parents to authorities was that Magickal, or Annalise, had been buried in undue hurry in a cheap coffin. Almost 2 years after the burial, on the 25th of February 1978, her remains were replaced in a new oak coffin lined with tin. The official reports state that the body bore the signs of consistent deterioration. The accused exorcists were discouraged from seeing the remains of Annalise. Arnold Renz later stated that he had been prevented from entering the mortuary. Her grave became and remains a pilgrimage site. The grave is a gathering point for religious outsiders. They write notes with requests and thanks for her help and leave them on the grave. They pray, they sing, and they travel on. And in the end, this particular article says, while she may be a source of inspiration for some religious people, the story of Annalise Michel is not one of spirituality triumphing over science, but of people who should have known better than allowing a mentally ill woman to die.
Wow.
So that's stuff we hadn't heard. That's you only hear the surface things, and you really have to dig further to find out more on the story, and that really is just again a surface amount of information.
And Maxine said the movie is different to the real life Emily Rose. You are absolutely spot on, Maxine. When they say based on a true story in Hollywood, it is very loosely based. They take some of the elements that will make a good story, and then they will put in some other things to make it even better. And that's because they need to sell tickets. They need to get bums on seats. And we have to be very careful that we are also dealing with people who now have biases because they've seen these movies and they may think that everything that is portrayed in a movie is 100% real. And it, again, is so upon us to really research these issues and understand them very, very well when we talk to people, and not be swayed by anything that people say that they may believe has come from information that is incorrect. It's important to get their story, but don't let that be your only source of information.
Yeah.
Because it will be heavily based on their beliefs, just as me writing it down will be looking at it through my beliefs. Can't help it, it's the way we're raised.
So none of that information that was said tonight is our viewpoints. We haven't added in our beliefs per se. We've kind of...
I may have called it a couple of times.
No, well, we kind of have both said that, in this particular respect, we kind of don't really think that it was a possession. It was a case of mental illness. But all of that information, whether it be the first part that was about exorcisms themselves and the story of beautiful Annalise, that is all information that you can find on the internet and research yourself. So again, it's really, really important to find all the information out on cases like this if you come up against them, and ask the questions. Ask as many questions as you need, and if you don't know the answer, if you need help, then ask it from either someone who is in the medical services, a doctor, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and also your local pastor or your priest, depending on the religious circumstances of the persons that you are dealing with.
Nin wanted to know, did the parents ever show remorse? They thought they were doing the right thing for their daughter. They truly believed she was possessed, and the only way to help her was through religion. There would have been no other thought.
And in the end, from what I gather, there was no actual removal of the demonic force. She died because she starved to death. So it probably, the exorcism itself never came to an end.
No, because there was nothing to exorcise.
So yes, it is awfully, awfully sad. And to say that I've been overcome by researching this story is an understatement. It has had a quite deep impact when I think about it all. But yeah, that's the letter E.
It's all right. She had Toblerone slice to help her get through an Anzac slice.
That's all right. Sharon says hysteria for the parents getting caught up in others' beliefs. This was their belief. This was their belief. They were very, very religious people, and as I mentioned earlier on, Sharon, the father had studied, I think, for the priesthood, and 3 of the aunts were nuns. So there was a whole family there who would have agreed with probably what was happening. Yeah. Wouldn't they have had an NG tube in place?
This is in the 70s.
Yeah, it's in the 70s, and no doctors were associated with this.
They didn't allow the doctors to come in and assess her. They were just looking at it through the eyes of a possession, not as a health case at all.
Yeah, and by this stage she had gone through 5 years of therapy with psychiatrists and psychologists,
and they would have taken her off the medication that the doctors had put her on.
The family at that stage had enough, because they still believed that the bottom line, the baseline in all of this was that she was possessed. And so the psychologists, the psychiatrists, the drugs weren't doing anything. She didn't start to starve herself till right at the end. So that last 10 months of exhaustive exorcisms, she would have been starving herself at that point. So this is a really ongoing, multiple faceted thing that we're looking at in the case of Annalise. Yeah. So all of you, say a prayer for her tonight and let her soul rest
nasal
in
gastric
peace.
tube, sorry. That's the NG is a nasal. It's where they put the tube down through the esophagus into the stomach and put food and nutritious fluid down into the stomach. So it's force feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad
So light
story.
a little candle for her. Don't leave the candle unattended.
No. Just a little prayer for Annalise would be a beautiful thing, because I think we all, having heard that story, feel quite sad for her. And prayer assists those in spirit who have died in horrible pain and in anguish. And we should give that freely, those that are alive, because we can. And it takes a moment of our time to do so. And it is a great gift to those that have passed over. Yeah. Anyone got anything else to say?
We've already done an hour.
Yeah. How crazy is
I'm
that?
not even going
That's
to show my
amazing.
stuff because there's no need.
No. All right.
Thank you,
Joe.
Jo. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll do the same.
So I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed that story, because not much enjoyment in that, but it is part of this crazy world and the things that we deal with.
And what paranormal investigators believe in. So you've just got to watch out in that as well. Some, if you're getting help from paranormal investigators, what are their beliefs? What are your beliefs? You're better off to go with someone who is not terribly swayed in one direction or the other, but will look at things logically, and then based on the belief of the person, get help in that area. Because the person who needs help has to believe in it.
Yep.
Because otherwise there's no point.
Absolutely. So, remember guys, we will be back on Thursday with live tarot at 8:30. So you can come back then and ask your questions. We have some really interesting things coming up over the next 10 to 12 days. We're away this weekend, and we won't tell you where we're going because we have a slight announcement to make while we are there.
Right.
So once we are there, you will see some live broadcasts, and we can announce something. And we've got a few other things that we're doing in the coming week that might turn out interesting as well. We leave that in the lap of the gods. Let's see where all of this goes. But again, thank you so very, very much, everyone, for coming on tonight.
And if I can ask a little favour, if you see any weird and wonderful paranormal stories, odd happenings, send it to us in a private message, because I'd like to add a little section on the latest news in the paranormal world. So if there's a new haunting or something washes up on the beach, something weird, let me know. I like the weird shit.
So thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you for joining us.
See you.
Loved you all.
Very soon.
See you on the dark side.
Bye.
Bye.